Chapter 1. The Death Star. April 2023. Atlanta, Georgia, Cal. The desperate outcry of a man who has lost his traveling companion pierces the din. Poor guy, I think, as I hurry on. He may never see his person again. The Atlanta airport, affectionately known in my family as the Death Star, snatches up unsuspecting travelers at will, transporting them to a netherworld of endless airport purgatory. Cal! He's closer this time. I catch his outline silhouetted against the window light, and a hand waving insistently above the multicolored human current. Hey, Cal! Ducking my head, I keep on rolling. My ride is undoubtedly growing restless in the cell phone waiting lot, and nobody has referred to me as Cal since I moved to Atlanta in high school and stayed temporarily with my mother and stepfather while my father searched for a coaching job nearby. My maternal grandmother forbade the use of my childhood nickname. A lady of distinction does not abbreviate herself. She sniffed as if she could smell the forests of my father's Blue Ridge Mountain hometown embedded in my t-shirt and jeans. Then she rested her hands on my shoulders, pressing down while adding, "Oh dear, I hope you stop growing soon." Callista Jane. The boys of good quality don't generally favor tall girls. In my grandmother's world, boys of good quality preferred their sweethearts petite and with double first names, like Callista Jane. Callista! The sound stops me short. Callista Brooks! He's weaving through the crowd, his face hidden by an Atlanta Falcons ball cap. Reporter, I think, and my stomach sinks. But he called me Cal, and so I step into a clear space near the wall and wait while he threads through the melee. He's agile, whoever he is, and casually dressed in hiking pants and a polo shirt. My curiosity is piqued, but also salted with a measure of dread. What if he's heard the bad news? What if he asks me about it? I won't be able to comment without getting choked up, and displaying raw emotion in public is a no-no. Reporters will start theorizing on whether you're faltering under the pressure, dealing with an unreported injury, nursing an addiction, or having a mental health crisis. You're never seen as simply being human with normal human problems. Instead, you're viewed as lacking the mental toughness required of an elite-level athlete. You're overreacting, I tell myself. We all promise to keep it in the family. Nobody else knows how bad it is. When I spot him again, the guy wheels a hand as if to magically sweep along 24 interconnected sorority girls. They stop dead in his path, and he turns his palms skyward before giving up and going around the long way. "Cal," he says, when he's finally close enough. His lips spread into a wide smile that's crooked, but in a nice way. A dimple forms in one cheek. I have no idea who he is. Yes. I rack my brain while trying not to be obvious about it. His dark hair curls slightly around the edges of his ball cap. His skin is tanned, even though it's only mid-April. Maybe a friend of Dad's? Someone Dad coached with? A former student Dad coached in high school or junior college? Adjusting the ball cap higher, he blinks at me, eyes widening. The smile falls slack. The dimple fades. I stammer. My mother, who never forgets a name, a face, or even a casual social encounter, would be mortified. I'm sorry, I'm not sure It's the eyes that finally do it. The window light catches them, turns the irises from medium brown to a bright golden hazel, one eye tinged slightly green, the other slightly blue. Calvin? The name erupts in a way that draws a curious glance from a passerby. Calvin Calhoun? About time. He feigns offense at my slow uptake, but even though I haven't seen him in more than a dozen years, I know better. It isn't possible to offend a Calhoun. They're tough as nails, every last one of them. My father adored them as high school athletes. They were wiry and quick on their feet. There were oodles of them around the mountain town of Brookton, North Carolina. Cousins, half-brothers, half-sisters, stepchildren. A Calhoun kid would run for miles in cross-country track, hang around the field afterward to help stack the hurdles and rake the sand pits, and never complain, anything to avoid going home. Calhouns were notorious for chaotic family situations. Calvin Calhoun. I gape at him like I've seen a ghost. I can't equate the skinny, undersized class clown I once knew with, well, this fully grown male person who's at least 5'11". Middle school Calvin was the runt of the Calhoun clan. Where in the world did you come from? Well, over that-a-way. He thumbs past his shoulder toward the windows. The slightest drawl stretches the words, but it's nothing like when he was younger. I smile at the joke. Yes, I know, but where before there? Farther over that-a-way. The laugh that bursts past my lips surprises me. Today's journey is anything but a pleasure trip. I've had a lump in my throat for hours. The laugh eases it some. His thick, black lashes arch upward around the mismatched hazel eyes, and fans of creases form at the corners. I'm momentarily transported to our middle school stage production of Our Town by Thornton Wilder. Calvin was only the understudy, until the real George came down with mono. If it bothered Calvin that the costumes were oversized on him and I, playing Emily, was 5 inches taller, he didn't let it show. It's so good to see you. My voice comes out unexpectedly tender, tinged with the emotional overload I thought had just dissipated. You too. He angles away a bit, surprised. My eyes moisten and I swipe at the corners. I'm sorry, it's been a hectic day. Hey, this airport can make anybody cry. Now that is true. You here to see your family or on business? He arches a brow. You giving a speech for the running club or someplace? Because if you are, I'll be disappointed. I'm outbound today for work. My dad is, well, he might be having heart surgery today, we hope. I have no idea why I let the truth slip out rather than an easy lie. But I skipped the fact that my father's presurgical assessment should already be underway, and everything hinges on the final go-ahead from the medical team. Please don't say anything to anyone. Dad has been very private about it. Calvin's smile fades. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Is it serious? Yes. In reality, a heart transplant is as serious as it gets, and the notification window is short when a potential donor heart becomes available. Fortunately, when the news came, I was in Tampa on business, less than 90 minutes away by air. He need anything? You need anything? A gate change announcement echoes from the PA, and he turns an ear to it. I'm fine. It'll just be a relief if it all goes like we hope. Calvin's lips pull skeptically to one side, an indication that I don't seem fine and I should tell him what's really wrong. The expression returns me to the 8th grade again, when I'd sit on the empty stadium bleachers after track practice, dramatizing about the relay team dropping the baton, or emoting about who said what in the cafeteria. Calvin would be perched one step below me, a track jersey hanging askew on his bony shoulders, as he nodded and occasionally told me I shouldn't worry about the snotty girls. Gossip. They were stupid, and couldn't run the 100-meter in under 13 seconds if they tried. What's really wrong, Cal? He'd ask then, and wait for me to finally fess up about something life-altering, like bombing the math test and worrying that my grade in the class might make me ineligible to run track. I can help you, he'd say, and hold up a palm for a high five. Cal Leaguers all the way, right? Even back then, I probably would have laughed at the insider reference to our secret society from the 4th grade, which included several Calhoun cousins, a Calloway, a Callahan, and by loose association me, due to my nickname Cal. In the days of lining up in alphabetical order, my last name, Brooks, placed me right before all the C names, so the group of us was bonded. Cal Leaguers all the way, I would have said to middle school Calvin on the bleachers, and then slapped his palm and perhaps told myself I could no longer study with Calvin. He'd developed a crush on me lately, but I only liked him as a friend, and besides, I was middle school dating some jock who could squash Calvin like a gnat. Present-day Calvin wouldn't have that problem. Don't let me make you miss your flight, I tell him. Taking out his wallet, he extracts a couple of business cards. If I can do anything, let me know, and pass one along to your dad too. He was really good to me when he didn't have to be. He hadn't seen me since freshman year of high school, after y'all moved to Atlanta, but when I needed help to get into college, he wrote a recommendation letter for me. I never knew for sure, but I think he also made some calls to people he knew at Georgia Tech. He did? I read the top card, my mouth falling open a bit. Calvin Calhoun, who grew up pillar to post, shuttling from house to house, and relative to relative, depending on his parents, current marital issues, is a hydrologist working for the Department of the Interior. He never told me you were at Georgia Tech. Calvin's smile manifests dimples in both cheeks this time. He probably figured you had more important things on your mind. Olympics and all. I watched the broadcasts of your runs in Rio and Tokyo. How'd those medals feel when you held them? Like failure because I missed the gold, I think. I know that's the wrong response, so I offer, pretty good, actually. You still aiming for Paris next year? That's the hope. But I'm 28, getting close to that borderline. Hey, me too, he teases, the drawl returning. Tucking away his wallet, he checks his phone. Gotta go. Tell your dad I'd come by and see him if I weren't in the field these next few weeks. Ohio. The train wreck that leaked all the chems into the watershed a couple months ago. Oh, wow, I saw the stories about it. I consider telling Calvin that I plan to be in Atlanta for a month to help my father recover from the surgery, but then I think better of it. I don't know how Dad will feel about visitors. It sounds like the aftermath of that train derailment will be bad for a while yet. Be careful out there, okay? Oh, you know us Calhouns. Careful's practically our middle name. I'm serious. I know you are. A quick wink, and he gives my arm a squeeze. Tell your dad I said hey. Just before vanishing into the fray, he adds, call me and let me know how he's doing, okay? With a thumbs up, I tuck the business cards into my jacket pocket before continuing on to baggage claim, then text my mother, so she can relay my location to whoever is fetching me from the arrivals curb. I'm skinning off my lightweight jacket when a silver BMW rolls up, sunlight reflecting off the chrome and obscuring the tinted windshield. I recognize the decorative license plate on the front, M1. My mother and stepfather must have decided to test out the new birthday Beamer on an airport run, because there's no way Ladybug would turn my twin stepbrothers or my two college boy half-brothers loose in her new ride. Unzipping the front pocket of my computer bag, I grabbed the birthday card and token gift I brought for her. The silver filigree bookmark isn't something my mother needs. There is nothing my mother needs except peace and quiet in a house with 4 slow-to-launch man-boys still living in it. But she'll like the bookmark, and it will be something upbeat on this high-stress day. Impulsively, I open the passenger door to hand her the birthday gift. I'm taken aback when the passenger seat is empty and my mother is behind the wheel. Mama? My voice cracks, and I hesitate on the curb. Hello, sugar? The tender tone and the red and puffy eyes confirm my worst fear. The only reason my mother would drive all the way across Atlanta to the airport during rush hour, by herself, is to deliver bad news about my dad in private. Chapter 2. A Dogwood Spring. Dad, why didn't you tell me? I set down my fork with a clink that echoes across the patio of my father's condo near the junior college, where he coached until the damage to his heart forced him to take a leave. Less than 2 years ago, everything was normal. A random viral infection, an attacker so tiny we couldn't even see it, and our world turned upside down. He pretends to be engrossed in his scrambled eggs, but in reality, he has mostly stirred them around the plate. Even the thick shade of azaleas can't hide how pale and thin his fingers are, or the fact that he's using his oxygen concentrator almost full-time now, and he's still wearing stained pajamas and old slippers at 9:30 in the morning. The man who once was larger than life, wake up and dressed in his coach clothes before dawn every day, ruddy and tan from hours outdoors, has become a ghost, a vapor in his chair. My mother insisted that I not come here last night, but instead spend the night at Belmorel House and have supper with my stepbrothers and half-brothers and my grandmother, all of whom rattle around the estate together. Stay here and rest tonight and get yourself together before you see your father, Ladybug insisted. He's worn out from the day, and a neighbor is checking in on him this evening. I told him you'd be there in the morning. He's dealing as best he can with the transplant surgery having fallen through, Callista Jane. You know how he is. It isn't easy for him to face the reality of his condition. My mother and father, despite splitting up when I was 3, co-parented in the best possible way. In spite of my mother's inability to adjust to the life of a high school coach's wife in Brookton, North Carolina, and my father's unwillingness to let himself be conveniently absorbed into the lucrative real estate business of my mother's family, the indelible bond of stubborn, forbidden first love remained between them long after their young marriage crumbled. Once upon a time, that love had caused them to do the unthinkable, defy Southern tradition and elope as college seniors. She was a girl out from under her family's thumb for the first time, and he was a track star at Ole Miss, confident, smart, devastatingly handsome. How could she have resisted now? He stares dispassionately across the table at me, his hand shaking as he adjusts the oxygen tubes looped over his ears. He clears the phlegm from his throat a few times before admitting in a wan voice, "I knew your mother would fill you in. I thought that'd be better." "Better how?" "If I'd told you about the incident." "Incidents plural, Dad. You passed out more than once in the last few weeks." He rolls a look upward like a petulant teenager. A sourness settles in my mouth, and I wince at the bitter taste of our reversed roles. It's too soon. I'm only 28. 40 years from now would be too soon. And yet, here we are. He shrugs as if he too is at a loss to comprehend it. "If I'd told you about the incidents, you would have dropped everything and come here, and not just for a few weeks while I heal up from surgery. You would have been hanging around all this time watching me sit in my chair and be useless. I could have helped you, Dad. I don't need a babysitter, and you should be training, Callista. I need to be here. The Olympic trials are less than priorities, Dad. You are my priority. You haven't been eating or drinking enough. You've mixed up your meds. You haven't been following your doctor's orders, and that's the reason the medical team didn't clear you for surgery. I can train here, at the running club, or somewhere, or not train at all." Resting an elbow on the glass-topped table, he shifts into coach mode, points the fork at me, and gives me the look. "That is not an option, Callista Jane." "Don't call me that. You sound like Mama." The comparison rolls right off. "Normally it wouldn't." "And you have the business with Patrick. 30-some employees depending on you. Your mother brought me the Newsweek article in the hosp." He clips the word hospital, his lips snapping over it like bolt cutters. "Hospital. I finish. Mama already told me you ended up in the ER last time you fell. Your mother needs to mind her own business." He doesn't mean that, and he knows it. My mother has been a lifeline as his congestive heart failure has progressed. She's the only one he listens to. They stitched my head up and made me lay around a while, that's all. It bled a lot. It's these darned blood thinner pills. Subconsciously, he rubs a spot where his hair falls over the healing wound. At 52, he is only beginning to show hints of gray and the chestnut brown hair that's a match for my own. "And stop trying to deflect, Callista. You have to train. You have a fiancé and a business startup waiting for you halfway across the country. This is the time to keep pushing, not sit here watching me." He looks away. My skin goes clammy, and the patio spins around me. The word die hangs silent in the air, but he finishes with, "Take pills. Everything I need to do at the office I can do from my computer. And I can join meetings virtually. It's not the same as being there," he points out. "You're the face of that company. Patrick has it under control. The business was his baby to begin with. When I met Patrick at the Olympic Village in Rio, and we sat kicking around the idea for an app that would track sports news, social media trends, influencers, training venues, and new products on the market, then help match athletes with facilities and companies and products with potential endorsers and influencers, I never thought it would actually happen. But Patrick was brilliant, and I was going home from Rio with a bronze medal. Patrick and I were the ideal combination, both personally and professionally, and at 21 I was confident I'd get at least one more Olympic run. We rented a place near a training center in Chula Vista, California. The sporty track slowly came to life, then gained steam after the Tokyo Olympics, and a silver medal win that was heartbreakingly close to gold. So much is happening at work right now, but Patrick will understand why I can't be there. He'll have to. I'm staying a month like I planned, and we'll work on getting you straightened out and back on the transplant list. I know the odds are against us, but without a donor heart, he only has a few months, maybe 6 at the outside. He'll be gone before the end of the year. We'll do it together. And I realize he's staring blankly at a pair of bluebirds and a crepe myrtle nearby. Sunlight and shadows slide over their feathers, turning them from cool cobalt to blue flame and back again. "Dad, you know what I'd like to do?" He doesn't wait for a response or turn my way. "Go ahead with what we talked about when we thought I was getting a new heart. Make some visits to Brookton, just us two. We said we'd visit at the peak of each season. Spring, summer, fall, winter. 4 seasons at the old farm. That's where life was the best. Up in the Blue Ridge when you were little and I was coaching at the school. Those were good times, weren't they?" "The best. I hold my napkin to my lips to hide their trembling. This sentimental, broken man in unwashed pajamas isn't my dad. This isn't Coach Brooks, who started his career back in his little hometown of Brookton and advanced all the way up to the college ranks. Moisture rims his eyes. I have never seen my father cry. Not even the day he walked me to my stepfather's door so I could start high school in Atlanta, train at the running club, and rise to my potential. He promised he'd follow as soon as he could land a coaching position in the city, and we'd be together again. Within a year, he made good on the promise. The man has been a rock for me. Now I have to find a way to be the same for him. Let's just go, he says quietly. I haven't been able to visit the farm since my renter moved out last year. Nobody's looked in on the place except the guy who mows the yard and a cleaning lady every few months. How about you and I take a trip if you're going to be hanging around here for a month anyway? The dogwoods should be busting out about now. Nothing says spring in the Blue Ridge like dogwoods in bloom. We'll get started on our 4 seasons at the farm plan while we still can. While we still can? I try to see beyond the poker face. Spring doesn't last forever, baby girl. The breath I've been holding releases in a long sigh. This isn't a death wish. He just wants to see spring in the Blue Ridge. It might be exactly what he needs. Okay, all right. I grab my cell phone. Let me call Mama and your doctors. Do we need to pick up anything from the pharmacy? He lays a hand over my phone. Don't call anybody. Dad, I have to check and make sure it's... I'm an adult, Callista. If you don't want to go with me, say so. I'll go on my own. His chin points defiantly toward the garage. I have my truck. You're not allowed to drive it. Mind your tone. I'm still your dad. You've passed out several times. You can't drive. I'll call an Uber. I laugh without intending to. Uber, Dad. And you don't have the first clue how to get one. The man still carries a flip phone and does business by actually calling people. He's a technology dinosaur. I guess you better drive me then. The barest hint of a smile cracks his gloomy facade. Okay, Coach. I'll make the calls later when he's out of earshot. Atta girl. The smile widens and reaches his warm brown eyes. My eyes. All I feel is love. This man, who raised me, who coached me, taught me, loved me, cheered me on, and even swallowed his pride when my mother's family could offer me opportunities he couldn't. This man is my hero. I'd do anything to get him to keep fighting. I can't imagine a world without my dad. His back straightens and his strides lengthen as he leaves the patio. Beyond the glass door, the ghost man fades. And he is Coach again. Resting my chin against my threaded fingers, I breathe in, blow out, try not to think about what my mother will say, about what the doctors will tell me when I call, about how Patrick will respond when I say I don't know when I'll be back in Chula Vista full-time. I won't even be able to make a quick trip home to meet with a team from Buzzweek magazine, coming to do a profile on our company. How do you eat an elephant? I whisper before rising and following in the footsteps of the man whose answer to that question was always, one bite at a time. Within an hour, his portable oxygen concentrator is plugged into the truck's cigarette lighter, and he's giving me driving tips from the passenger seat, as if I've never dealt with Atlanta traffic before. Dad, I've got it. I know you do. Watch. Now watch for a chance to get over to the right. The drive goes on that way until we've left the endless urban sprawl behind, and I-85 stretches like a ribbon through walls of pine, hardwood, and kudzu vine that drapes the trees like a shroud. In the passenger seat, Dad dozes, then wakes to check our surroundings, then dozes again. The diuretics he's taking for fluid retention cause frequent restroom stops. I take those opportunities to accomplish the necessary phone calls. Doctors' offices clarify instructions. Patrick agrees to try delaying the Buzzweek interview rather than doing it solo. I understand that's your dad, but they want you, Callista. You're the story. I don't have a choice right now. I can't leave him. I'll see what I can work out with him. Thanks. Dad is headed across the parking lot, so I add in a rush. I gotta go. I love you, okay? I'm sorry about this. I understand, he answers. But I wonder if he does. Patrick's family makes my mother's crazy household look like the Brady Bunch. He is indifferent to most of his relatives. Love you too. Be careful driving. We close out the call, and Dad works himself into the passenger seat again. When I try to help him untangle his oxygen cannula, he swats my hand away. Not hard, but with intention. I've got it. He hates this new mishmash of roles as much as I do. Caretaker to the man who took care of me. It feels so wrong. Partner in crime. That sounds better. Dad, I'm just trying to get us out of here before Ladybug tracks us down. She's probably back there on I-85 in the new Beamer. You know we can't outrun her in this thing. I pat the dash of the well-used pickup he loves. Stabbing a finger toward the on-ramp, he says, "Drive." I squeal the tires on the way out for effect. And that wins a laugh before he mutters, "You didn't call your mother, did you?" Not yet, but you know I'll have to. In truth, I've been putting it off until last. Ladybug will not be happy about this trip. She pesters me. His bottom lip presses upward, and he crosses his arms over his chest. Because you need it sometimes. HMPH. Turning toward the window, he rests his head against the seat. He's asleep long before I make the turn onto the two-lane. I sink into the solitude as we wind upland through the mountains of my childhood, a world of lakes and waterfalls, stunning vistas, and cabins tucked beneath tree-clad mountain slopes. Along the roadside, yellow buttercups and dandelions keep company with the soft purple of dwarf iris, the body red of Indian paintbrush, and the cottony whites of Dutchman's breeches. The last of the redbuds ply their wares in magenta blooms and budding leaves, but the stars of the springtime pageantry are the dogwoods, so plentiful that their blooms form a lacy bridal veil above the forest floor. I've never seen them more beautiful than they are today, basking in the golden afternoon light. A text from my mother comes in on my cell. Silencing the phone, I nudge the sleeping bear in my passenger seat and whisper, "Hey, Dad, you'd better wake up and look around. Your dogwoods are putting on a show." Chapter 3. A Blackberry Summer. Calvin, this is Callista. I know this text is out of the blue, but... Calvin. Hey. Callista here. Quick question. Hi, Calvin. Great to see you at the airport a few days ago. I'm wondering if... I rub my forehead, try to think. What do you say to someone you haven't kept in touch with for years, when suddenly you need a big favor, and it's an embarrassing one on top of that? But I have no other resources. My stepbrothers and half-brothers have zero home maintenance skills, and besides, they would tip off Ladybug. If she knew the farmhouse had issues, she'd be here in 3 hours packing our suitcases, her fashionable pumps click-clicking across the rotten porch boards as she rolls Coach's home oxygen concentrator to the door. "You need to accept what I have been trying to tell you, Callista Jane," she insisted during our last phone call, "what the doctors have also been saying. I know it's not what you want to hear, but even if another donor heart were found, he is unlikely to meet the criteria for surgery. He's better already, Mama. This place is good for him. We've sneaked over to the track at the high school the last 2 days before anyone's around in the mornings, and he was sitting on the bench doing the training load monitoring for me." Was he wearing his oxygen backpack? Mama, stop. If I bring him back to Atlanta, he'll quit. He'll sit there in that condo and give up. I know him. I know my dad. You're asking too much of him, Callista Jane. You're expecting a miracle. I shake the conversation from my head, think, I know my dad, and turn back to the phone and my mission. The plumbing in the farmhouse is barely functioning. Only one toilet works at all, and considering the medications Dad is on, that is a major issue. I've spent the day calling every plumber in the area. No one can make it here until late next week. Today is Saturday, and the farm is miles down a narrow, winding road that's not on anyone's way to anywhere. But something has to be done. Now. And so I start again on a message to Calvin. Calvin, my old pal and fellow member of the Cal Leaguers. Cal Leaguers all the way, right? Despite everything, I chuckle at the old motto. Callista here. If you're slammed up there, don't even answer this text, okay? Dad's surgery was canceled. We're visiting the farm, but there's a huge plumbing problem and I can't get a plumber out for days. Do you know anyone who could come work on it? Anyone at all? I have no doubt that he does. Calhouns are famous for, among other things, running completely unlicensed part-time when they feel like it repair businesses. Someplace here in Transylvania County, North Carolina, in a ramshackle barn belonging to a Calhoun, The tools, equipment, and salvaged parts necessary to repair a broken plumbing system rest under 6 inches of dust, a smattering of moldy hay, and probably a load of raccoon poop. I'll pay whatever it takes. Something's bubbling up in the yard. We're down to one barely working commode and, holy crapola, Dad yells from the hall bathroom. A frog just jumped out of the toilet and flew across the room. A what? Leave it, Dad. Leave it wherever it is. I'll take care of it. The last thing I need is for him to lose his balance in there and fall. Do not go after it. Do you hear me? The bathroom, and whether he should be in there alone, is a sensitive issue. The old pine floors are uneven. The toilet is lower than the one in his condo. There are no grab bars for him to steady himself. Dad, don't make me come in there. Door's locked. You can't. He hollers. I growl under my breath, and when I look back at the phone, I've accidentally hit send on the unfinished text message. I queue up another and add, a frog just launched from the toilet and ew across the room. I have no words. If you know of anybody, please tell them to call or text. Cell service is spotty. If I don't answer, leave a message. I'll call back. It was good to see you in the airport. Something hits the floor and shatters in the bathroom. Dad? I'm instantly out of my chair and snatching the rusty skeleton key from the fireplace mantel where I hid it. Dad, you okay? He coughs out in reply. Knocked a bottle off the shelf. The scent cloud catches me as soon as I wrestle the door open. It's musky, sweet, putrid, old. A noxious mix that smells like cologne, stale cooking grease, ammonia, and gasoline. My nose burns, and I fold an elbow over my face. What is that? Glass crunches under my shoes. Looking down, I follow the trail of glittery bits and brown liquid. The stuff is everywhere, all over the floor, on the baby blue tile walls, in the clawfoot tub, on the toilet, up the leg of my father's green polyester coach pants. The place looks like a murder scene. That thing went off like a bomb. Dad's trousers, still unzipped, hang haphazardly hiked over his derriere as he stands with one hand clutched around the window curtain for stability, the other gripping a roll of spare toilet paper like a baseball about to be thrown to home plate. What are you doing? I gasp, even though I can see his first pitch rolling along the bottom of the clawfoot tub, slowly soaking up brown goo. It was on the wall. The frog. Thought I could knock it into the tub. Missed on the first throw. That bottle came off the shelf, and boom! Must have been gas built up in it. I told you to wait for me. Geez, what is that stuff? Liniment salve, like we used to get from Ms. Winnie down in Hornbeam Holler, remember? Good medicine. Better than anything you can buy at the market. I had a whole crate of her tonics in the cellar. Guess the renter helped himself. Dad, Miss Winnie died 15 years ago. That stuff is probably toxic by now. My stomach roils as I survey the bathroom and try to imagine how I'll clean up this mess, much less catch the frog. Come on, let's get you out of here and into some clean clothes. I'll have to throw your slippers in the wash. Except I can't, because the washing machine drains into the septic system. There it is! Dad winds up for another pitch. I'm across the room and grabbing his arm before he can let loose. Don't you dare! The shelf above the tub is a repository of ancient shampoo containers, shaving cream cans, and at least a dozen more mystery bottles with faded handwritten labels. When I look up, Coach is fighting a grin and his eyes gleam in a way I haven't seen in a long time. You old fart. You're just messing with me. Language, young lady. The grin breaks free, lifts the lines that have become so pronounced since his illness. And I've got no idea where that frog is by now. I snicker, then regret it because the vapors burn. You are so grounded, mister. Made you laugh, though. He slips an arm around me, and I sink into the sweet, familiar vibration of his laughter beneath my ear. Despite the broken glass on the floor, the mess, and the overwhelming stench, my heart tugs. I'm 5, 6, 8 years old again. Daddy's girl, too young to care about boys except as friends. Coach is my Prince Charming. When I grow up, I plan to marry him. Nobody has told me yet that I can't. My phone rings in the front room. I swivel toward the door, back to Dad, toward the door again. That could be a plumber. Kicking the lid closed on the commode, I tell Dad, sit, stay, bossy. But he plops himself down obligingly and reaches for one of the dry-rotted magazines in the wall rack. "I'll just be here," he calls after me as I make a run for my phone. It's on the fourth ring when I grab it and bolt through the screen door to the porch, where the reception is better. "Hello?" Cal Leaguers all the way. "Calvin? How'd the frog thing turn out?" The cadence of the words is unhurried. The tone affable. "You don't even want to know." "That bad, huh?" I fill him in on the murder scene and Dad's current situation, and by the end he's laughing so hard I have to hold the phone away from my ear. In school, all the Calhouns had the same wild, unrestrained, raucous guffaw. It could be heard from one end of the building to the other and was known for stirring up pandemonium. It is as infectious now as it ever was, and a high-pitched laugh explodes from some space inside me that has been buttoned down since my grandmother told me nice girls do not cackle like yard chickens. "What's so funny out there?" Dad's voice drifts through the screen. "Sorry, Dad. I'll be there in a minute," I yell, and then to Calvin, "We're in trouble with Coach." "Wouldn't be the first time, would it?" he teases. "Hardly." Leaning over the porch railing, I gaze into the evening silence of our little valley in the palm of the mountains. To be honest, it's good to see Dad getting a little feisty. He's had a hard time with all of this. He wants to do what he wants to do. He hates needing help. That sounds like Coach. I'm afraid he's been thinking it'd be easier to give up. That doesn't sound like Coach. I can't let him quit. Not while there's even a long-shot chance at a heart transplant. And after just a few days up here, he's got a spark in his eye again. This is home to him. He always planned to retire in Brookton someday. That's why he rented out the farm instead of selling it when we moved to Atlanta. We both thought he'd have more time to... I let the sentence trail off. "Sorry, I didn't mean to unload all of that on you." "Callista." He says my name like it's an admonishment. "It's fine. That's what friends are for, right?" I realize we used to say that to each other when we were kids. Right. How did I ever lose touch with the boy who was my cohort in so many childhood adventures? Thanks for listening, Calvin. It means a lot. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing, bringing him to the farm for a while. The mountains are good medicine. I think so too. Unfortunately, my mother and the doctors don't agree, but just last night, Dad was reminiscing about the time you and I were going to make our first million in the blackberry business, and he looked so happy just talking about it. Remember when we made jam and blackberry pies and set up that stand on the highway for the tourists? Dad was saying that he and I should pick blackberries this summer and make a pie. It's not likely we'll be here by then, but at least it's something to hope for. Grief strikes me like a storm wind, and I hug my arms around myself to shut out the chill. A melancholy silence falls between us, until Calvin draws a breath and says, "I remember the blackberry summer. I can still see you, me, and Callie sitting there on the sidewalk, dividing up the money. Oh, I forgot that Callie was with us." The memory repaints itself to include Calvin's little sister. "Yeah, she got the canning jars from the root cellar and washed them, so we owed her." "How is Callie?" "Good. She guides horseback rides in the Nantahala National Forest." "Nice place to work." "Yes, it is. Remember the time we were coming home from the track meet that way, and the synchronized fireflies were out? Coach stopped the bus, and we all got off and stood there and watched." I sink into the scene like it's a pool of warm water. I could never forget that. It was magical. "Yes, it was." He chuckles softly. "It was the one time you ever let me hold your hand. Unless I was pulling you up a tree. That part of the evening I don't remember." "Untrue, because you held my hand when we did the production of Our Town." I stand corrected. We succumb to reminiscing again as the last of the sun slides behind the mountains. So he says when the conversation ebbs, Uncle Clyde will be there first thing in the morning with a compact excavator, auger, some pipe, duct tape, baling wire, chewing gum, zip ties, a couple guys with shovels, 2 sticks of dynamite, and whatever else they can think of to get the plumbing working. Really? Seriously? You're kidding about the dynamite though, right? Well, we Calhouns bring out the white glove service when there's a celebrity in town. Calvin! My cheeks sting. I guess because I don't want him to think of me that way. I'm not. You are, he counters. But I was talking about Coach. Oh, well in that case, okay. Coach definitely deserves the white glove. Yes, he does. As if on cue, Dad yells from the bathroom, and I reluctantly tell Calvin I have to sign off. I'll leave a key under the mat, in case Coach and I aren't back yet when your uncle gets here. We've been going up to the track early, before anyone's there. Dad's not up to chatting with people. He doesn't... I grit my teeth against a frustrating rush of emotion. He doesn't want to be seen this way, you know? I'll tell Uncle Clyde to keep it quiet. Thank you. You said that already. I know, but thank you. Cal Lagers all the way, he answers, and then, get a good night's sleep, Callista. I got you on this one. Calvin? Don't tell me thank you again. I'm sorry we didn't keep in touch. Yeah, me too, he admits. Don't forget to leave that key out in the morning. Uncle Clyde's an early bird. And then Calvin is gone. In the morning, Coach and I pass the Calhoun Plumbing Brigade on the road at first light. We chat through roll-down windows as Coach hides his oxygen cannula under his jacket and offers a self-diagnosis of the problem. Uncle Clyde, a man of few words, nods patiently, his lips working either thoughts or a plug of tobacco behind a thick gray beard. We'll get her done, Coach. The rusty truck lurches eagerly as he grinds it into gear. Just leave the bill under the mat with the key if we're not back, I interject before he can get away. And an address to send a check to, will do. Or if I forget, you can take it up with Calvin, but we'll get y'all flushing again. I can't tell if that's a joke or a promise, so I thank him, and he drives away, holding a hand out the window in a farewell salute. As it turns out, the man is as good as his word. When Coach and I make it back from my workout and getting breakfast to go from a coffee shop in town, a giant hole and a mountain of dirt wait in the side yard. The extra key is still in the deadbolt, there's no bill under the mat, and the Calhoun Plumbing Brigade is gone. Inside the house, Dad beelines for the restroom, announcing, I'm headed for the Toto. I've dumped our things by the door and started checking my phone for work texts when I glance toward the red Formica countertop and see 2 jars of homemade jam and a blackberry pie with a latticework crust. Next to it sits a yellowed Hello Kitty note card. Picking it up and holding it closer to the light, I read the faded handwriting and see in my own careful 4th grade script the recipe for blackberry jam. A folded piece of printer paper taped to the back of the card reads, Taste of Summer '05. P.S. I Dawn. T know how I ended up with the top secret Cal Lee girls. Just lucky, I guess. Calvin, I run a finger over the words, and the sensation is warm and sweet. Toilet works, Dad yells. Good intel, Coach. Come see what's out here. You find the frog? His question echoes from the hallway a moment later. Because that sucker's gotta be around here some. He struck silent before reaching the kitchen. Well, look at that, he murmurs as we stand together admiring the gift. It's blackberry season already. Yes, it is. I send Coach's words to Calvin in a text, along with, Thank you, X100, for this and everything else. You are amazing. Cal Leaguers all the way. PL's let me know about the plumbing bill. No charge, he replies. I owe Coach. Work's busy today. Sorry. Be careful up there, I respond, and leave him to his job. It's evening before I hear from him again. The last of the pink light has faded to dusky gray outside the wavy glass windows, and the mountains breathe smoke into the coming night. Everything still okay up there? I read the question in Calvin's convivial tone and slight drawl. How's Coach? I snap a photo of my childhood hero, sound asleep on the sofa with his hands fanned out over his belly, his head tipped back, and the oxygen cannula hanging crooked on his face. Blackberry coma, I answer, then send the photo without thinking. Don't share that pic with anyone, Kay. Never, he responds. Headed to bed. 15-hour workday. Early start tomorrow. Get some good rest, I tell him. A deep tenderness swells inside me. There was never one thing I asked of Calvin that he didn't kill himself to deliver. I failed to appreciate him properly when we were kids. I won't make that mistake again, and so I type, Thanks again for today. Cal Leaguers all the way, G-Night Cal. Then a ZZZ emoji, and the words, Take a look out the front window. When I do, a lazy half-moon has crested the mountains, and the apple trees planted by my father's 1999 track team in memory of my grandparents are aglow with twinkling firefly lights. Chapter 4. A Haunted Autumn. Patrick, No, all right? Let's move on and talk about the sponsorships. I have to get back to the house and check on Dad soon. I glance up from my virtual meeting as an elderly couple chats and makes eyes at each other over coffee and scones at a table across the patio. Their mutual good nature is starkly antithetical to my afternoon meeting with Patrick. As business partners, we can be fierce. We each have the competitive streak born of elite-level athletics, It makes us good at what we do. We understand each other, play hard, fight hard, win big, occasionally. When the dust cloud drifts into personal life, that dynamic is problematic. Today is one of those days, but it's not really anybody's fault. Patrick is overwhelmed by having to handle his load and a lot of mine at work. He isn't here to see the shape my dad is in. He doesn't understand how hard this is. I think you're being too sensitive about this, Callista. I actually see the words as much as hear them. They're evident in the slight angle of his head, the upward bow of his lips. The hint of a patronizing tone incenses me. Don't talk to me like I'm some 21-year-old intern who got your coffee order wrong. He falls back in his chair, blinks as if I've hit him with the right cross. Where'd that come from? Sorry. Rubbing the base of my neck, I take in the cool, moist breeze. I'm a little raw. Workout didn't go so well. I think the knee might be acting up. I felt it just for a second. The IT band thing again, maybe. You sure you're not overdoing it there? I know you're into this idea of making all 4 seasons at the farm happen for your dad the next few weeks, but maybe you're pushing yourself too hard. I'm not. Dad needs this. He's so excited about the idea. Patrick may be right about overdoing it, but Dad and I have decided that, since we're in Brookton and we've already enjoyed spring dogwoods and summer blackberries, we'll come up with ways to celebrate autumn and winter during our stay, as long as he's still feeling good enough to be here. He has a spark in his eye again. And that's because of you, love. You wanting to make 4 seasons happen in fast motion. It's great. It's heroic. It's so you. Let the team from Buzzweek magazine fly out there, do the interview, and snap a couple pictures of you guys and the wildberry jelly. Jam. It's blackberry jam. Have you never had blackberry jam, city boy? Patrick shrugs, as in, search me. But the joke about our diametrically opposed backgrounds brings a smile. No idea. What color plastic packet does it come in? You are so ridiculous. Just do the Buzzweek interview at the office. Wow them with the new headquarters, the in-house workout facility, the roof garden, the coffee shop co-op in our retail space, the mentoring program. Take them into the trophy room. You won't even have to talk all that much. I wish I could be there to help with it. I know you're swamped. Callista, you do realize that you could be the difference between a one-pager and a full-on feature piece. Maybe even a cover, and that could mean a lot to the business. He presses again. You still have autumn and winter to do while you're there. Maybe they could... No, Patrick. Just know not everything is for public consumption. The words come out louder than intended. The elderly couple and a barista bussing a dirty table glance my way. I lean closer to the laptop. And to be honest, I'm worried that Dad is thinking a little too big this time. He had so much fun. With the blackberry surprise and the firefly lights, now he's talking about the haunted hayrides the junior class used to do as a prom fundraiser. On the final night, there was a bonfire and a monster mash dance which Dad headed up every year. He'd wear this creepy mask and trench coat and tell local ghost stories. He loved doing it. But the farm that used to host it is a resort development now, and even if it weren't, how could I possibly make all of it come together? People and costumes and a bonfire and a dance. And in a week or less? Doesn't sound too practical. Patrick's tone is flat and he's no longer looking at the screen. I hear computer keys clicking. Hey, Juan? He swivels back to me, gives a head jerk toward his desktop monitor. I need to handle this email now. Why don't you sleep on it? If we went public with your 4 seasons thing, said the magazine was coming, people would be into it. It's a good story. Father-daughter. He drifts off, his eyes tracking to the other computer as he mutters. And, yeah, that's not good. Crap. Sorry, Han. Then he's back to me. Last wishes. You'd have all the help you need. People eat that stuff up on social media. They'd be beating down your door to get involved. I stare at the screen, his words burning like hot coals in my brain. Beating down your door. Last wishes. People eat that stuff up. Has he been listening at all? Go take care of the email, I grind out. Talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, all right. Just think about the Buzzweek feature idea in Brookton. And ice the knee when you get home. I don't even answer. I just slap the laptop shut and try to think. I can't pull the Calhoun card again for help. They've already done too much. If I mention the idea to Calvin, he'll turn himself inside out trying to make it happen, because that's Calvin. He'll turn himself inside out trying to make it happen. The words sift through my mind. I pause, stare at them like bright bits of colored glass on the bottom of a river. I don't dare reach closer. The edges are sharp. The man I've been in a 6-year relationship with and plan to marry can't look away from business long enough to understand where I'm at. But the friend I haven't seen since I was a kid... Excuse me. The barista is beside me, waiting to bus my table. She's high school age, blonde, pretty, wearing trendy round sunglasses. The strips of hair alongside her face hang in narrow braids with wooden beads at the ends. Oh, sorry, I'll get out of the way. You're Callista Brooks, right? I stiffen. The last thing I need is to draw attention here in Brookton. Yes, but... I thought so, lifting her glasses. She leans forward conspiratorially, and I recognize the Calhoun eyes. Uncle Calvin said to watch for you. I'm Kalia Calhoun. I carried the pie and the jam over to your house the other day for Uncle Clyde. Calvin's half-sister Kalia is my mama. She made the pie first thing that morning, from berries out of the freezer. I hope it was all right. All right? It was amazing. I pour out an emotional gush of gratitude, compliments, and reactions from Coach, then finish with, the man had tears in his eyes. Tears. That's how much it meant to him. I realize I'm clasping Kalia's arm, and so I let go. Please pass my thanks along to your mom. That was so kind of her. I barely remember Calvin's half-sister, Kalia. She was 5 years older and lived with a different set of parents. I will for sure. Kalia's smile is easy and genuine, a little crooked like Calvin's. Anything else I can do, you just let me know. Uncle Calvin always talked about your daddy and you. He did? Sure. He had nothing but good words to say. You meant a lot to him. The last of my tension from the virtual meeting softens into a pool of mush. He means a lot to us too. Calvin was always at our house when they lived down the road from the farm. He'd just show up on the porch, usually around mealtime. The memory brings a chuckle. Coach would look out the window and see him there and say, well, let him in, I guess. Kalia smiles obligingly, then shrugs, her nose scrunching like she has caught a bad scent. Considering how his daddy was, he probably needed a place to go. Her bluntness leaves me at a loss for a benign response. We enjoyed having him. He helped me wash the dishes, for one thing. Uncle Calvin's like that. He's always doing something for somebody. He told my mama what the pie was for, so you could have a taste of summer blackberries with your daddy. That's real sweet. A quick glance toward the interior of the coffee shop and she adds, don't worry, we won't tell anybody you're here. But I heard you talking on the computer, and there's lots of farms around this area that have pumpkin patches, apple picking, wagon rides, and corn mazes. You know, for the tourists in the fall. Maybe you could hire one of those places to do, like a Halloween-themed party. Even though it's springtime right now, they'd have all the right decorations stored away somewhere. I bet the folks down the street at the visitor center could help you find some places to call. Also, I could spread the word around the high school, and people would come for that Monster Mash dance. It'd be fun. I wouldn't tell anybody who the party was for. And with everyone wearing costumes, nobody'd know y'all. The idea blooms like fast-motion photography in my head. That might work, I whisper. It wouldn't have to be huge. Just enough for Dad to feel like it's a mountain autumn. He loved coaching college in Atlanta, but the years here were his favorite. Kalia's smile stretches from one tiny braid to the other as she whips a cell phone from her back pocket. Here, I'll text you my number, and soon as you settle on the place and time, shoot me a message. I'll get you some party guests. If there's one thing we Calhouns know how to do, it's bring the party. Leaving the coffee shop, I'm filled with a sense of anticipation as bright and shiny as Kalia's smile. I would never say it out loud, but she's right about the Calhouns. They are known for bringing the party. The night of the Monster Mash arrives only 5 busy days after the initial idea, and it's apparent as soon as I pilot Coach's truck through the gates of Hornbeam Hideaway Orchards that Kalia, the orchard owners, probably Calvin, as well, since he's been burning up my phone all week, have come through in spades. Stopping the truck atop the hill, I snap a picture of the valley below, where a 2-story white house, a vintage hip-roofed party barn, a row of guest cabins, plus apple orchards, corrals, and hayfields rest beneath the light of a waxing moon. In a picnic area, a bonfire burns, and inside the barn, odd-shaped shadow forms move behind the window glass, a dinosaur, a horned specter of some sort, a princess in a conical hat with a flowing veil. "Would you look at that?" Coach mutters, reaching for the creepy rubber mask and severed hand I rush-ordered online. We've draped his oxygen concentrator backpack with the tattered remains of an old fishnet, and when his mask is in place, he looks like a cross between a hillbilly zombie and a poor unfortunate soul who met his demise on a fishing trip, then floated down the river for a few months. I've settled for a Cruella de Vil costume that was on clearance. Coach and I make quite the pair in our disguises. Looks a lot like the old Monster Mash down there, doesn't it? I say, and reach over to help him tuck the neck of his mask under his coat collar. Looks even better. Coach sounds positively giddy. We had to use that rickety hay barn in the old days, remember? This one's nicer. And look, there's cornstalks and pumpkins, skeletons, and the whole 9 yards. Man, oh man, you outdid yourself, baby girl. He breathes in, as if he's filling himself with the scenes spread out before us. How much did this cost, though? Not that much. Actually, a lot. Patrick will pop a cork when the bill comes in. Every day that passes, our virtual meetings grow a little testier. But we'll patch things up once we're together again. We always do. Well, Dad gives the armrest a hearty slap. Let's get to it. You know I wear out early these days. Just a sec. I open FaceTime on my phone, tap Calvin's name. The signal strength up here is probably good enough. No telling what I'll have in the valley. The call connects, and Calvin's face appears. He's in his barren-looking office in a temporary government trailer, working late again. I've lost count of the times I've caught him in exactly that same space. "Hey, Callista." Resting his elbows on the desk, he leans forward. "Tell me how it's going there. How's Coach?" "Hi, Calvin." Coach leans across the console to horn in on the call. "Whoa, great costume, Coach. That looks a lot like your old mask." Dad dangles his fake rubber appendage close to the phone. "Need a hand?" "Yeah, I fell for that one in the 6th grade, Calvin admits. "I had nightmares." Well pleased with himself, Coach slides back to his own seat. I lift the phone toward the window. "Let me flip the camera around and show you this place." "Hang on a minute." Calvin cranes closer to his screen. "I need to get a better look at the Cruella de Vil getup." "Not on your life." I push the button, but the camera won't flip. I like it. The two-tone hair is a thing. Stop! I cough out and try to flip the camera again. And the neon red lips. "Whoa! Those are hot!" "Calvin!" I squeal. Dad interjects an artificially loud cough. "Y'all, I'm right here, still." Heat rushes from my wig all the way to my red high heels. And it's not just embarrassment. "What was that?" "There," I say, and physically turn the phone around to point the camera toward the valley. "Lift it a little there, Cruella." Calvin beckons. "You've got me looking at the hood of the truck." "I might stick you under the truck." "That'd be hard on your phone, though." "Y'all behave," Dad admonishes. Calvin whistles as first pan over the view. "Sweet. Looks like Kalia's got half the school there. Plus the staff at the coffee shop," I add. The farm owners also opened it up to their cabin guests and invited their workers and some neighbors. "It's a shindig," Dad brags. "A real monster mash. Sure looks like it. Wish I could be there." Calvin sounds wistful and tired. "Happy Halloween, Coach." "Eat a caramel apple for me." "Thanks, Calvin. I'll do that." I let off the brake and the truck wobbles forward. "Hey, I'll leave you on the phone, and we'll see if there's enough reception down there." Suddenly, every part of me wishes Calvin were riding tag-along in the back seat, singing off-key to tunes on the radio, just like when we were kids. "Nah, you two go ahead and enjoy the party," he tells me. "I need to get back at it here. Lots going on. I'll send you some pictures." Dad reaches over to turn the phone around. "Calvin Calhoun." His voice is deeper through the mask. "You were a scrawny little flea of a kid, but you never had an ounce of quit in you. I just want you to hear me say, I'm proud of you. I always knew you'd amount to something." Dad clears the emotion from his throat as the phone signal fades, Calvin disappears, and we roll downhill into autumn. Chapter 5. A Winter Wedding. Come sit a minute. Dad pats the space beside him on the bench that is his usual command center during my morning workout. "We should go." I shrug toward the parking lot as I finish my cool down. Teachers who walk the track before school and a few early bird students could be showing up soon. We'll talk in the truck. Coach gauges the faint blush in the east. It's Saturday, we're safe for a while. Oh, right, I forgot. My mind is a disaster zone. Thoughts whirling like tornado debris. Moving to the bench beside Dad, I catch the seat with my hands first, suspend my body a few seconds before letting my weight settle. Dad rests a hand on my knee, his fingers a warm circle I can feel through my damp leggings. The IT band's acting up again in this leg, huh? I gape at him, surprised. I've been quietly taking anti-inflammatories for a week now, since before the monster mash, and icing the knee when Dad's asleep, or I'm at the coffee shop alone. Along with my coffee, the staff now automatically hands me an ice pack wrapped in a kitchen towel. It's nothing, Dad, really. In truth, the knee trouble, as ominous as it is, pales in comparison to last night's call with Patrick. I barely slept. The argument is on replay in my head, a doom loop that won't stop. Frown lines crease Dad's brow. Baby girl, I've watched you run enough years. I know when something's off. I'm just tired. His thumb tightens into the outside of my knee, and I wince. That's not just tired, Callista. That needs an MRI. Steroid shot, physical therapy. It's time to go back to Atlanta, get you looked at. No, Dad. We still have our 4th season on the farm to do. I've already scheduled our wagon ride from the old gristmill to the Christmas tree grove to cut a tree like we used to, and he silences me with the stern but sympathetic coach face he used on students who made bad grades or showed up late for workouts. Well, now, it looks like the day at the Christmas tree farm wasn't going to turn out quite like you hoped anyway, was it? A pulse thrums in my ear. You heard me on the phone with Patrick. The windows were open last night, and I wasn't asleep yet. You were right there on the porch. I'm nauseated, then mortified, then nauseated again. I had no idea Dad was listening when Patrick and I argued about whether the old gristmill would be the perfect place for the simple, intimate wedding we've been putting off. It got a little heated. Sorry. Dad's expression makes it obvious that's an understatement. A marriage isn't something to rush into. I cough indignantly. It's not rushed, Dad. We bought the dress and the rings 2 years ago to have a little thing on the beach. I didn't want Mom campaigning for a big affair at Balmoral, so it was going to be just Patrick and me with a couple friends. Both of us came down with COVID the day before, and then, I don't know, we never got back to it, I guess. Maybe that's a good thing, that we got sick, that it held off the wedding. Dad, I admonish, meeting his gaze, it'd be really nice to do it here, now. The old mill building is gorgeous, and I want... My eyes burn. I look away, try to steady my voice. I want you to walk me down the aisle, and for us to have the father-daughter dance together. Tears break free. I feel the heat of them on my cheeks. Cupping my chin in his palm, he brings us face to face, drying my tears with his big, rough thumb. I appreciate all that you've been doing for me, but when you're talking back and forth with a man in the tone you had last night, it's not the time for a wedding. I'm no matchmaker, but when the time's right, and the love's right, it won't sound anything like that. I sniffle, nod, fight back a wave of guilt that my personal issues, the tension with Patrick, the knee injury, have cast shadows over my father's life. He has enough to worry about. I'm sorry, Dad. The last thing I want is for our time here to be spoiled by this. You've got nothing to be sorry for. Now you hear me on that, Callista, and you put what I'm saying all the way down deep, so you can carry it with you in case I'm not around to say it when you need to hear it again. Dad, don't. Just listen. Adjusting his oxygen cannula, he pulls a long draft of air, but still he sounds like he's the one who just finished a workout. His skin is pale this morning, yet his brown eyes are bright with a fierce tenderness. I've gotten to watch my baby girl crawl, then walk, then run and break the tape in more stadiums than I can count. I've seen her on the medal stand at the Olympics, not once, but twice. I know you hoped for gold, and I know you put the pressure on yourself to go after it again. If another Olympics is what you want, give it your whole heart, but if it's something you're doing for business, for money, for Patrick, or anybody else but yourself, then turn loose of it. Life goes by while you're chasing things, Callista. All the forks in the road. You'll never be at that same place again, Stop. Look. Think. Choose your path. Choose your people. Hang on to what makes you laugh, what makes your heart good. Let the rest go by the wayside and move on without wondering what anybody else will think. I need you to know that you've lived up to every hope I ever had for you and more. Being your dad has been the joy of my life. I try to form words, but I can't. There are no words for all the gratitude, all the hours together, all the lessons and memories and love. No word is big enough, and so I reach across the space between us and smooth the backs of my fingers along his cool, pale cheek. And don't you rush into anything because of me, he says. Not one thing. I nod, and he slips his arm around me. I lay my head on the shoulder that has been my safe place from my first hours of life and through all the stages until this one. Together in the empty stadium, we sit side by side, gazing into the sunrise. Breathing in the damp air, I drink the familiar nectar of mountains and spring, let my soul calm itself until finally I can speak. You're right, Dad. I know you're right. The truth is, I've felt it for a while. Patrick and I growing more distant, more like business partners and less like romantic partners. Marriage won't fix that. Nothing will. A 6-year relationship is hard to let go of, but it's time. I want to do the Christmas tree project, though, cut a tree like we used to, and pull all the decorations out of the farmhouse attic. Neither of us has seen those things in years. We'll finish our 4 seasons plan. Then we'll go back to Atlanta, all right? I've never failed to finish a race. I don't want to start now. A moment drifts by before he answers. Tell you what, baby girl. Let's push it back to later on next week. You need a little break. I need a little break. We'll rest up a few extra days and then we'll do the Christmas tree farm before we head back and face the music. You know your mama. I chuckle, despite everything. Yes, I do. We'd best get on, then, he says. I'm ready to hit the sofa for a while. I feel good, though. You don't have to stay home and watch over me. You can come back to town and take care of your emails and whatnot, like usual. I've got my phone if I need anything. All right. But I study him as I gather up our things. I'm fine, he insists. Just a little tired. All right, I say again, and we proceed on with his plan. Our days of rest settle into a peaceful rhythm. Coach muddles around the house. We skip workouts. Patrick and I stick to business during our virtual meetings. The staff at the coffee shop keeps me supplied with ice packs, coffee, and scones, while I use the Wi-Fi. During one of her after-school shifts, Kalia brings me 2 more jars of blackberry jam for Coach. The remainder of our free time passes in a flash. Our big day dawns clear and unseasonably cool, perfect for our trip to cut a Christmas tree in the Ides of May. Coach is more hopped up about the project than I expected him to be, and persuading him to eat lunch and nap a while afterward is a challenge. We're not due at the farm until 5:30, after the owners have closed down the mill tours for the day. When it's finally time to leave home, Dad's out the door like a BlackBerry-fueled rocket. On the drive, he's so excited he literally can't stop fidgeting. You okay over there? I ask as we pull into the parking lot beside the lime-washed grist mill that still grinds homemade cornmeal and flour while the tourists watch. In the softening light, the place looks peaceful and quiet, the curtains closed and the lights turned off inside. The horse-drawn wagon that will be picking us up at the pasture gate hasn't arrived yet. I just need a quick restroom break before they get here with the wagon. They always had restrooms in the mill. Dad quickly gathers his oxygen backpack. You better help me up those stairs, though. They're a little steep. Hang on. I grab my things and hurry around to take his arm and steady him as we make our way up the uneven stone steps. We're on the porch before I realize we could have a problem. Dad, this building might be locked. We'll be in a bind if it is, he admits as he reaches for the old iron knob. Fortunately, the door obliges and swings open. Inside, the vestibule is shadowy and dim, save for the strip of sun that follows us in. Dad locates the light switch and flips it like he owns the place. Hey, Coach, maybe we shouldn't. My sentence falls unfinished as twinkle lights flutter to life on pine garlands strung along the wainscoting. On a coat hook nearby, a wedding dress hangs suspended. Its satiny folds and lacy edges otherworldly in the glittering light. I take a step closer before my mind catches up with me. We need to go, Dad. Someone's getting things ready for a wedding in here. His soft chuckle ruffles my hair. You don't recognize it? Recognize it? Why should... I study the dress, the leg of mutton sleeves, the sweetheart neckline demurely edged in lace, the aged ecru-colored fabric, the cinched waist and long flowing skirt. Wait, is this? I gape at my father, turn back to the dress. Pinching the hem, I run my fingers carefully along the seam until I feel something flat and round. A penny for luck, I breathe. This is the dress from the prop room at the community theater, the one I wore when we did Our Town in middle school. I hope you can still get into it. I hear his grin without even looking at him. You hurry up and change in the ladies' room over there, and I'll change in the men's. They brought me a suit so I can be dressed proper for that dance you wanted. Dad! I gasp, a hand over my mouth. Don't start going mushy on me, Callista Jane. In the moment, he sounds remarkably like my mother, and I wonder if she had a part in all of this. Now, I know today is all just pretend, Coach admits. But I plan to fight like a bulldog to get better so maybe I can be there for you when a real wedding happens. I hope on that day I'll give you to a man who loves you as much as your daddy does. But in case my time runs out before then, you'll have this evening at the mill to carry with you. I smile into his sweet, stubborn, determined face. I'm going to stay with you while you work on that. I'd meant to save the news until after our Christmas fun, but in this moment, I want him to know it. Don't argue with me either, because you won't change my mind. I told Patrick last night that I'd be taking a leave of absence from sporty track. Whatever happens, whatever time we have, whatever you need, I'll be here. Hugging me to him, he kisses my forehead, then rests his chin there a moment. All right, he whispers, smoothing a hand over my hair before he releases me. Now hurry up and get ready before I wear out. Kalia's in the ladies' room, waiting for you. She'll help you with the buttons and all. I'll meet you back here. Go on now. And so I do. It's hard to say who's more excited about transforming me into Emily from the stage production of Our Town, Kalia or me. But together, we're an efficient team. We manage hair, makeup, and the dress in just over 15 minutes. Take good care of the dress, Kalia tells me when we're done. Mr. Lamone says we might do Our Town in theater next year at school. I hope you do. A quick hug, and then I re-enter the vestibule as Emily, a bride in the year 1904. Taking me in, Dad whistles under his breath. You look just like you did in the 8th grade. I'm not sure that's such a good thing. It's a perfect thing. He straightens a well-used black tuxedo jacket that looks like it has seen many a theater performance. He's gained a bit of weight on all the toast and blackberry jam. In the golden light, he looks healthy and strong. You are the one perfect thing I ever did, Callista. Wrapping my fingers over his elbow, I walk beside him toward the heavy wooden doors to the building's interior. I think a few thousand of your former students would disagree with that, Coach. Matching his slow, careful steps, I watch him adoringly. I want to remember every moment of this, to capture it like a photograph and hold it inside me for some day. Calvin, for one. Leaning close to my ear as the doors swing open, Coach whispers, "Let's ask him." I turn to find the mill set for an intimate wedding. Guests seated in short rows of mahogany wood chairs. Antique candelabras light the center aisle, where a red carpet has been rolled out for the wedding march. At the front of the room, arches, white columns, and stained glass windows painted on plywood form the backdrop of a chapel. A portly preacher, played by Mr. Lamone, my theater teacher from the 8th grade, waits to officiate our mock wedding. In the audience, I see my mother, my stepfather, my 2 stepbrothers, and my college boy half-brothers. The groom appears from behind the painted plywood panels. His stride is easy and confident as it was 14 years ago, but the wedding suit no longer hangs on him like an oversized circus costume. Today, he fills it out perfectly, and when his eyes meet mine, and he smiles that wide, slightly wild Calhoun smile, my heart fills with fireflies.